Hey, author bosses, it's Megan Barnhart. I hope you're having a great Saturday today. I don't know if anybody else is having like a GDPR hangover, but man, I thought I had dealt with everything and there's still a few last minute things to take care of. Man, oh man, that was quite a change. Anywho, I'm jumping into the Author Like a Boss Facebook group to answer your questions about book launching. So I'm curious to hear from you. What are your biggest questions about book launching? Hey, Lloyd, great to see you. So go ahead and put them in the comments and be specific. What have you tried? What things have worked for you? What do you want to try and you're not quite sure how to get into it? So let me know. I'd love to hear your questions. I'm here to answer them to the best of my ability. Ella has some answers and I have some answers, but we want to just get you moving in the right direction. So if you have a super specific question, I might say tag Ella. But, let's make sure you're moving in the right direction. Let's make sure that your plans for launching your book are going to get you results and going to get you the success that you want so that you're making money from your books. So I invite you, go ahead, put your questions in. And, that might be kind of like, oh, I don't even know where my questions are. And I totally get it. Sometimes we don't even know where to start asking questions if the topic just seems too big. And I know for a lot of authors, book launching feels that way. So let me help kind of direct your questions. And I'm gonna ask you some things and just kind of sit with them. Am I doing that? Is there something I could be doing more to that to have a more successful launch? So the first question I have for you is, do you currently have a newsletter set up? Are you collecting email addresses now in a GDPR compliant way? Do you have a sign up sheet? Do you have a way that makes it really easy for people to join your newsletter? And do you make it inviting for them to join your newsletter? So, those are really cut and dry questions. Either yes or no, I've got those things set up. So start with just kind of running through that list for yourself. If you do have people on your list, are you sending them regular newsletters? Do you know what to send? Or are you kind of stuck on that piece? Do you have an automated welcome email set up so that when people join, no matter what time it is for you, no matter what you're doing, they automatically get welcomed to your list? Oh, okay. Lloyd says, I don't know what to put in my newsletter while I'm still writing my book. This is a really common question, and the answer will kind of stay the same even once you have a finished book and you want to tell people about it. So let me back up a few steps and say that your newsletter is about connecting with your potential readers. And so your job is to think of what would be really cool, fun, interesting, exciting content for them to read. It's not going to be really fun and interesting for them every week or every month to get the same thing, right? I have a book. Here's the book. Buy my book. Here's the link to my book. They're going to get tired of that pretty quickly. So even once you have a book out, and before you do, your job is to ask, okay, for my genre, what is something really interesting that would grab people's attention? And the easiest one is writing reviews of other books in your genre. A lot of authors do this without, having to go really in depth. If you think, oh gosh, I'm already doing so much writing, you don't have to write a whole essay. But if you're writing reviews of other books in your genre, that's content people would be interested in because they signed up to your newsletter because they enjoy your genre. Does that make sense? And you can go even lighter than that. Instead of reading a book and committing to writing a review, you can do a roundup of books. You can say, hey, have you checked out these 4 books? And maybe you wait for when books that are really popular in your genre go on sale on Amazon. And then think about what you're doing. You're letting people on your list know about a great deal. So Lloyd, does that give you some ideas? You can, of course, give updates about what you're writing and what you're working on. I love that. There are some authors that I follow and they'll send me, a newsletter, and it might have, oh, here are some books I reviewed, or here are some books I would recommend. And then here's what I'm working on. And there's a little snippet of text, and I love it. And it's short and sweet, and it keeps me engaged with the content they're working on. So I hope that's helpful. The next question, hey Trish, the next question to ask yourself after you've kind of gone through that newsletter checklist, like, do I actually have a newsletter? Am I getting people to sign up for it? And no fair building a newsletter opt-in form, but then not sharing it with people. Like, that's a part of it. You have to go around and invite people to your list and give them that link and make it easy to find. So I know that can be kind of kind of the intimidating part. But, people won't magically know you have an email list unless you tell them. And once you tell them, then they have the choice. They can sign up or not sign up. When they sign up, if they like the content, they can stay. If they find they're not reading it or it's not interesting, they'll unsubscribe. It's really a low pressure kind of thing. Oh yeah, thanks, Trish. I like that picture too. I don't know anything about it, but I like it. Hey, Sarah, glad you made it here. Okay, so for anybody just joining us, we're doing a book launch Q&A. So I want to hear your questions. Put them in the chat. Lloyd, one more thing I'll say about your question, like what should I write? In the book launch Like a Boss bootcamp that's starting up next Thursday that Ella and I run, we give you like even more in-depth details about that. We'll help you figure out for your genre what would be some cool things to give as regular content, what would be a neat incentive you could give people for signing up. And we have a lot of like Steal Me email templates you can use to see what it would look like. So if you want to get more help, get more support with that, then the bootcamp is exactly where we do that. Okay, so yeah, I want to invite you, just put your questions in the chat. And as you're thinking about questions, I'm going to be asking you questions to kind of spark ideas. And the goal is, again, to make sure you are planning a successful launch. And a successful launch doesn't mean you do all the things necessarily, but it means that you put your effort and your energy in the right places. You don't want to be wasting effort and wasting energy on things that don't get you results or that are, that feel really hard. Maybe there are some actions that just feel easier for you, and if you'll do them consistently, then go for those, right? It's much better to do some things and actually do them than to plan to do all the things and not do some of them because they feel intimidating or they're hard or they're not your skill set, whatever it is. All right, so I just asked you about your newsletter. My next question for you is, as you're launching, are you positioning yourself? Are you positioning your novel in a way that will help people find it, that will help people know exactly what this is? Some of that is about choosing the right categories and keywords from Amazon. And do you know what the best strategy for that is? Finding other books that are like your book and seeing what categories those people are using. And there are tools for this. There's a strategy because some categories have more competition than others. And Ella is really good at like helping you break down the nitty gritty of that. And she does that with folks in the bootcamp. But that's a great place to start. What books are like my book? How are they categorized on Amazon? So that's a huge part of positioning. But another big part of positioning is making connections with people. So that means making connections with other authors in your genre. And by the way, if you take that advice about doing the book reviews or the book roundups for your newsletters, that's a great opportunity to connect with other authors because it's so easy to find anybody on social media now. And you can reach out to somebody and say, hey, I love your books. In fact, I'm doing a book giveaway for my newsletter and your book is one of them, and just wanted to let you know, from a raving fan, thanks so much for what you write. Whatever it is, whatever feels appropriate. That's actually a way to connect with authors. And when you're connected with them, then you're starting to, be in the same circles where their fans are, and their fans may end up being your fans. So positioning yourself means also connecting with people, connecting with other authors, connecting with fans, going and finding where your fans hang out. And that can be something really fun to do because if you write your genre, you probably love reading your genre as well. If you're not reading a lot in your genre, that's an easy thing to start doing right now. All right, so keep those questions coming. If you have questions about what I'm talking about or just book launch questions in general, go ahead and put them in the comments. All right, here's my next question for you. So I asked you, do you have a newsletter, and are people signing up, and are you sending out good content? Are you positioning yourself with your keywords and categories and your the connections you're making with other authors and with readers? And my next question is, do you have a kick-ass character arc and climax? That is actually a really big part of launching your book, because what it means to have a successful book launch is to put a book out there that people enjoy, read to the end, and leave a review for. And if they're not getting all the way to the end, it's unlikely they're leaving you a review at all. And if they do, it's probably not going to be a great review. Stopped reading 2 pages in, so boring. So your character arc and climax, or that story that compels people and makes it feel like it was all worth it, is super important. And I've actually been talking about that for a lot of my lives this month. And if you missed any of those, make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, Author Like a Boss, and watch the videos about how to write a story readers love. But that is a part of your launch you may not have been thinking about, might not come to mind first when you think about launching a book, but it's really, really important. You want to put a story out there that people love and that builds your author brand and your credibility. All right, so keep those questions coming. If you're just joining me, we're taking questions about launching your book. Let me know what's on your mind. And yeah, also if you just want to share an experience, what you've tried, what you're thinking about trying, that would be cool too. All right, and in the meantime, I'm asking you questions to try to get your mind thinking about, what am I doing for launching, and have I tried that? So far I've said you got to have that newsletter going, you got to position yourself, you got to have a kick-ass character arc and climax. All right, here's another question to ask. Are you taking big action to get a lot of people onto your email list? So I talked about how you can't just build the list and hope people find it. You have to tell them about it. You have to share the link. When somebody expresses interest in your book, you say, I actually have a newsletter, and if you want to get updates and other cool stuff from me, sign up for my newsletter. But there are big actions you can take to get people on your newsletter and to create a lot of buzz. And the best one for your buck, the best bang for your buck, is doing a giveaway. And you can do this at so many different levels. You can do it just on your own. You can go grab your 4 or 5 favorite ebooks on Amazon. In fact, a great strategy is to watch Amazon for your favorite books, look for when they get to 99 cents, buy them as gifts, and just hold on to them. You don't put in the email address of the person they're going to, but select, I'm buying this as a gift, stockpile them, right? So for as little as less than $5, if they're each 99 cents, you can put together a book bundle, and then you can use an online giveaway service and have a contest for people. Now, there are some really specific things you have to make sure you do, especially with GDPR. Thank you. You have to make sure people know they're consenting to be on your email list as well as being in the contest. But that's just a matter of dotting your I's and crossing your T's. You can totally do that. So, anything from that, just doing a giveaway yourself, to buying into a giveaway. There are some really cool giveaways going on right now. I saw there's a dystopian and science fiction and fantasy cool giveaway that's happening. If you check out the Author Like a Boss podcast, which you can find on our website and also on our YouTube channel, listen to Ella's interview with Russell Nohelty. He's the king of giveaways. He's found these great ways to do multi-author giveaways where it creates a big buzz and it's really fun. But you don't have to go that big. You can do just you make some neat graphics, but it's a way to get a lot of people on your list at once. All right, so there's some questions here. Sarah says, I've been lucky enough to have a lot of fans already, but that was through a writer group. How should I get them on other places like Facebook or, other social media channels? So, Sarah, probably the same activities will work. If you found yourself before in a place where you created community with other writers, that's something you can absolutely replicate. You can find almost any group on Facebook, right? You can find your tribe. And so go explore and look for people who absolutely love reading in the genre that you write. And some of these, there will be a crossover, right? Some of the people you connect with will be authors, but the main people you want to connect with are readers. And just start building relationships with them. Just start reaching out and creating that kind of friendship feeling. There's nothing different about making those connections online versus offline. It might feel a little bit different, but in fact, there are a lot of people who are much more willing to connect online than go outside their houses and connect offline. So you're going to find a lot more people. So go look for Facebook groups, and you might like, if you haven't watched it already, you might like the video playlist Ella has on YouTube. That's how to engage with social media. I'm not getting the title right, but using social media to engage with your fans. Go check that out. Ooh, so Carol says, I find one of the hardest things is to get some quotes for the book from important names before the book launches. Any tips to make this easier? I would say the best way to make that viable, to make that happen, is to start making connections with other authors well in advance of your launch. And so if you're connecting with them and you're showing up first as a fan, and then that turns into kind of like a peer relationship when you say I'm also an author, and then maybe you do a giveaway, and keep getting on that person's radar in like a fun, helpful, excited way, not like a stalkery, annoying way. Keep getting on that person's radar. And if it feels appropriate at a certain point, you can say, I admire your work so much, and it would mean the world to me if you were willing to write a review. I'd love to get you an advanced review copy of the book and just have your honest opinion about it, right? So you do it in stages. Then if you get the review back and it's great, you can contact them again and say, I'm overwhelmed. Thank you for your kind words. This means the world to me. I'd love to, extract this part and use it. Are you okay with that? So does that make sense? You do it in stages. You don't just come at somebody out of the blue and say, can you write me something for the cover of my book? You make that relationship, and then you ask first, to do an advanced review copy. And that's a lot less pressure and a lot less kind of, I don't know, feel it's a lot more normal. They probably get that request all the time. So yeah, give that a go. I hope that makes it easier. Hey, Brittany, I'm so glad you joined us. All right, what great questions. And I hope you guys are getting inspired too by hearing what other people are doing. And so Carol, I want to say one more thing on your question, really the core of it. The part I kind of fast forwarded through is you have to make those connections with other authors. And I know that can seem really daunting, especially who are those people and how do I connect? And I have to tell you that is perhaps my favorite module of our Book Launch Like a Boss bootcamp, because, Ella gets in there with you in the nitty gritty and she's like, okay, give me tell me your 10 authors that your book is similar to, and tell me your 10 books. And then there are these really easy, light ways you can get started getting in touch with people. And she walks you through how to do that in a way. Ella's magical quality, one of the many, is that she's great at making new friends. It's seriously her superpower. And so she's actually taken a lot of those skills she has from her life, that like, oh, how do you make new friends? How do you meet people when you move to a new town? And put them in these like really specific templates for authors. So I kind of fast forwarded through you have to connect with people, but it's really important, and it might feel overwhelming, but there are ways to do it that reliably work. And if you're interested in those ways, we could totally show you how to do them in the Book Launch Like a Boss bootcamp. Yeah, thanks. Great question, Carol. All right, y'all. So I talked about, make sure you have a newsletter. Are you positioning yourself? Do you have a kick-ass character arc and climax? Are you using giveaways to, get a lot of people on your list at once and kind of make some noise? So my next question for you is, do you have an awesome first chapter? Right? We've all done this. We do the look inside feature on Amazon, and we decide then and there if we're going to buy the book. Sometimes the book just looks great and it's, really inexpensive. So we buy it, it's got a fun cover, and we start reading, and we don't keep going after the first few pages or after the first chapter. So whether you're getting page reads from Kindle Unlimited, or, you're relying on more people finding your book because of the reviews that are left, it's a really bad feeling if people don't finish reading. And then, likely they're not going to come back and read your next book. So having that first chapter really up to snuff is so important. And again, I've got tons of videos on this. I've been talking about it all month. So go check them out on our YouTube channel, Author Like a Boss. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're like, why does she keep telling me to go to YouTube? I'm on YouTube. It's because I'm recording this live in the Author Like a Boss Facebook group. But all our videos end up on our YouTube channel. And go look at my specific steps for writing a first chapter that really grabs people, because I have a lot of details. If you wanted hands-on help with that, that is a really fun part of bootcamp for me, because I get to read your first chapter and give you specific feedback and then help you actually make those changes. So you send me the first chapter ahead of time, And then I get a chance to look over it and make some comments. And then in our strategy and action session, I give you these tips and you try things out and you're like, oh, now how about this? Does this sound good? And we workshop it. And it's really a lot of fun. And I'm always delighted with first chapters by how few changes an author can make to really just make it sing. You know, it's not about rewriting everything, but you just kind of go in surgically to a few key places. And it's amazing what a difference it makes. So how's your first chapter? Sarah asked, what is boot camp? Oh, sorry. Boot camp is totally on my mind because I'm excited for it. Book Launch Like a Boss Boot Camp is the 8-step program. It's 10 weeks, but it's 8 weeks of live calls because we have to get you set up at the beginning and debriefed at the end. So it's a program that Ella and I run, and it's starting on May 31st. And what happens is you get access to these courses, and we do it week by week. So it's your 8-step launch plan. So you start in week 1, and you learn everything you need to about newsletters, and you watch the videos, and you see how to set one up, and you do some prep work, and then you get on a strategy and action session call live with both me and Ella, not on a Facebook where you can only chat, but on a Zoom call where you can talk to us too and share your screen and all kinds of things. And you finish getting things set up and take all of the steps you need. So it's a really hands-on, fun experience. And if you are ready to set up a launch and like take all these action steps that I've been talking about with your newsletter and positioning and the kick-ass character arc and climax and first chapter of awesome and using giveaways plus a few more, I'm going to talk about, then Bootcamp is definitely for you. I'll put a link to it in the chat, and enrollment is closing tonight actually, because we're starting next week. We are getting booted up on May 31st. That's when you'll get your first assignments. So if you're interested, now is the time to take action. Yes. Oh yeah, Sarah, do you see the link? I just put it in. I was talking. I just put it in. And if you have specific questions about Bootcamp and you want to private message me after I'm done with this live, I totally welcome you to do that. There's also a link to, private message would be better. I was going to say there's a link to chat with us in the on the Bootcamp page, but I don't think our calendars will give you time before Bootcamp is actually closed. So yeah, if you have questions, just PM me. All right. So here's my next question for you. In your launch, do you have a newsletter? Are you positioning yourself? Do you have a kick-ass character and climax? Are you using giveaways? Do you have an awesome first chapter? Are you starting to build your launch team now? So Ella's been talking to you guys about launch teams in her lives this month and talking about the importance of harnessing the excitement and energy that other people have for us. Because even if it's just a few people for a first book, there will be people in your life who really are excited about helping you launch. And some of them will be your friends and family. Maybe they'll just share posts for you. And some of them will be these fans or other authors that you're meeting as you're connecting with people. And they're like, that book sounds so cool, and I want to be part of helping other people know about it. But once you start to gather those people, you want to use them strategically, right? You want to be able to give them jobs and tell them exactly what they can do to help so that their energy doesn't dissipate. And you want to start building now so that you can gather enough people and get like a critical mass and have the energy so you're not doing it alone. So start now, even if you're just working on drafting. And starting building your launch team could look like right now connecting with other authors, or could make sure you're following up with people. If you are already connecting, if you're in Facebook groups for readers who love your genre, if you're connecting with other authors, make sure you keep that conversation going. You check in periodically. You can build a spreadsheet of people you're connecting with, and you can have notes to yourself like first contacted, next steps, recontact on this date. You can systematize it if that's your thing, or it can just kind of be more organic in your flow, whatever works for you. But keep track of these people so that as it gets closer to your release date, you can ask them these specific questions like, hey, would you be willing to read an advanced copy and leave an honest review? Or, hey, would you be open to sharing graphics? Or, hey, would you be open to coming to an event online or offline? All right. So, are you guys building your launch teams? Is that something that's happening? It may seem like a lot of responsibility to have a launch team and for you to be the leader. But if you reframe it as you're either out there trying to tell a lot of people about your book all alone, or you're out there trying to tell a lot of people about your book with an excited group of others, like, doesn't the second one just sound way better? To me, it does. Like, oh, we could all do this together. And other people on your launch team might have ideas that didn't occur to you. And you're like, that's so fun. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try that. For a lot of us, it's easier to promote other people than to promote ourselves. All right. Carol asks, when my book launches, would it be better to list the ebook as per normal, or would it be better to list the book in Kindle Unlimited and get paid for page reads, sales for a shorter period of time, as opposed to page leads over a longer period? Are there any strategic ways of listing a book for its launch? Oh, you know what? It depends on the genre. It depends on the length. And it's the kind of thing that you might have to experiment with. So I would recommend like asking some of the other authors that you hang out with about their experience and their results. And it won't be that you can totally predict what's going to happen for you based on their results, but it might tip you one way or the other. But go ask people what real results they're getting. I would recommend, Carol, and see how things are going. You know, it's I feel like the algorithms and everything are constantly evolving on Amazon, and what was the best way to do it 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago might not be the best now. But go check in with other authors and ask them for their concrete results with doing it both ways. That's what I would recommend. And it's a great way to connect with them and build those relationships. Yeah. So sorry, I wish I had a hard and fast answer for you, but it depends on so much. So ask around, ask what results other people are getting. All right, here's my next question for you. Are you making it easy for readers who love your book to leave you reviews? And the easiest way to do that is to ask them for reviews on your the last page of your book. You know, if people are reading on Kindle, then they'll automatically be taken to leave a review. Make sure that you get your book on Goodreads. Part of what your launch team can do is to add your book to their to read list on Kindle, or to add it to lists that it belongs to. So make sure your book is like readily available and people can leave reviews. Ask around for ARC reviewers as well. And, you know, it's okay to remind people. I'm on a lot of authors' newsletters, but there's an author I really love, and her newsletter is fantastic. And it kind of just skim through it and see what's up and what's new. And a couple weeks ago, she said, hey, you know, if you've read this short story prequel, will you please go leave a review? I read the thing, I enjoyed it, but I did that thing we all do. I opened the email and then, you know, went away and did the rest of life. So she resent it in the next newsletter, like, hey, if you have a chance, can you please review? And I was so grateful, because then I was able to just follow that link and review it, which was what I wanted to do in the first place, but you get busy, you forget. So, you know, making it easy for people to leave your reviews. And again, there are a lot of strategies that we cover for that in Bootcamp. Okay, my final question, and you guys are welcome to ask more questions, but my final question to you is, do you have a blurb that's really going to sell your book? When people find your book on Amazon, are they going to just say, yes, I have to find out what happens. I love that. That's so delightful. You know, it was funny, or it was scary, or it was spooky, or I can't wait to find out what happens next. Is that what they'll be feeling when they read your blurb? And if not, that's a place to really dedicate some time to. And I recommend, as you know, if you watch my video about blurbs, is get a great Amazon blurb and then shorten it to like your elevator pitch, your 30-word blurb, and then shorten that to your tagline. And if you have all of those in place, all these other parts of launching your book that I've been talking about, you know, connecting with other authors and sending out newsletters and using giveaways, it will be easier to do those because you'll have the copy. You have great sales copy for your book. So then when you're creating ads, you don't have to write copy from scratch. And I'm saying creating ads, I don't mean literal ads. I mean, if you're doing a giveaway and you're posting that on Facebook, that is a type of ad, right? You're creating like an experience where you want people to get drawn in and you want them to click and do something. So if you have all that copy created, You don't have to do it each time you do a giveaway or send out a newsletter. Makes it a lot easier. So those are a lot of things to think about for launching your book. So if you aren't doing any of those, that's a great place to start. Just pick one of those 8 that I mentioned: your newsletter, positioning yourself by connecting to other authors, character arc and climax, using giveaways to grow your newsletter, awesome first chapter, starting to build your launch team, making it easy to get reviews and blurbs. Start with any one of those. You don't have to do them all at once. Start with any one and just get it to a level where you feel really confident about it, really good about it. And if you would like support with doing all of those, I invite you to join us for Book Launch Like a Boss Bootcamp. Again, this program starts on May 31st. So if you're watching this after May 31st, I'm sorry you missed us. We won't be running this program again until 2019. It's a really high level of coaching and intensity and engagement. And so it's, it takes a lot from us, and we're totally good with that. We love giving you guys that much, but it means that we don't run it very often because we want to make sure we're giving you our absolute best coaching and mentoring for that. You can find out about it by heading over to our website. I'll put the link in the comments, but authorlikeaboss.com, Book Launch Like a Boss Bootcamp is where you can find it. And the doors are closing on enrollment today. So if this is something of interest to you, go check it out. If you have any questions, I invite you to private message me on Facebook, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave a comment and I will reply. But this would be a way you could do all of these steps all at once, not all at once, 1 week at a time, but you could have them all, like all the steps are prepped for you. You know exactly what to do. Plus you have this hands-on feedback and personalized coaching from both me and Ella to make sure you actually take action, not just learn about some of the cool things you can do for a launch, but actually do them. So please feel free to message me if you have questions. And thanks so much, everybody, for the great questions you asked. I wish you happy authoring and happy rest of your Saturday. Take care.